Hey, I'm Matthew Crawford, and I just saw Blade Runner 2049, and wow, this movie was great. I am so happy that I saw this on the big screen, and after the movie was over and everybody in the theater was leaving, this lady usher was saying to everybody as they went out, "Have a good night, have a good night." And when I was leaving, she said, "Have a good night," and I just smiled and pointed at the screen and said, "Fucking awesome." Maybe I shouldn't have done that because not everybody reacts so coolly to someone just swearing out of the blue, but she laughed and said, "I'm glad you liked it," and I couldn't help it. I was just so pumped after I saw this film, and I'm going to try not to repeat myself by saying it was fucking awesome over and over and over, but as a good quick summarization of how I felt after seeing this movie, and it was just a wonderful experience. And quickly, my thoughts on the original. I think the original Blade Runner from 1982 it's a pretty awesome movie. It's pretty 80s, pretty non-conventional in its storytelling, and as well as non-conventional in being an action movie. It's very complex, has a lot of good themes, and doesn't go the route that you think it's going to go. And just to show off, I have this special collector's DVD that has all the different versions: the theatrical cut, the director's cut from the early 90s, 1991 or 2, and the final cut from 2007, and a few other collectible trinkets. I saw the theatrical version, the one that everybody doesn't think is very good, that has the narration, a couple of years ago, and well, the narration was kind of stupid. It was a pretty good film in that version, and I watched the director's cut and the final cut last week, and each version is very good to watch. A lot of fun and very deep, and the original Blade Runner is extremely well made. It has amazing design and cinematography, and the new Blade Runner, the cinematography and the design of this future world is very on par, and at times is even better and bigger than the original films, and it's just beautiful to look at, this new movie. And while there was definitely some CGI that went into making this new world, it was so well put together that it never once distracted me in that regard. And the music scoring was pretty cool, done by Hans Zimmer, and it's a good mix of kind of rehashing some of the music from the original while also adding a new sound and tone to it. Direction-wise, this film was very well put together. Directed by Denis Villeneuve. I suck at pronouncing names. Who last year directed the sci-fi film Arrival. And it's pretty cool that they got this film put together and that they got Harrison Ford to come back as Deckard, considering how everything I've read has said that he didn't particularly like working on the film, and while he's warmed up to it over the years, he was disappointed how it originally performed. So it was pretty nice that they got him back, and without reminiscing too much on the originals, Ryan Gosling is the new star of the Blade Runner franchise, and he was a great lead here. He carried this film flawlessly. He was excellent. He had a great sense of mystery to him and darkness. You can see that this character is going through a lot in his head, and unlike the unconfirmed fan theories of Deckard from the original, this main character's name is K. It is confirmed about halfway through that he is a replicant, a artificial human, and he has the job of hunting replicants that are not in line or not considered okay, I guess, by this new corporation that took over from the Tyrell Corporation in the original. I think it's called the Wallace Corporation. And after the film opens with Kay taking out a rogue replicant in the first scene, he uncovers a bunch of small clues that lead him on a long mission to find out a hidden truth that connects to Deckard and Rachel after they apparently got away at the end of the first film. This was a very well done sequel that was made so many years after the original, and I'm usually very mixed when it comes to sequels that are coming out decades after the last film or the first film. Like with Star Wars, it kind of worked because it was a big franchise, it had many sequels, and it's one of those franchises that's open to multiple films. With Blade Runner, it's only had one movie before, and when it first came out, I believe it was kind of a mixed bag for a lot of people, and this new movie, it seems like it's also going to be a little mixed. This movie's been getting very positive reviews, but it appears to be underperforming in its opening weekend, and that's usually not a good sign for a movie. So, going full asshole for a moment, watch this fucking movie and help it be a success. I'm glad I saw it, and hopefully more will see it. It's a movie that really has to be seen on the big screen. Just, it's hard to describe. It brings so much to you. It gets you so fucking pumped, and it has just as many themes and is as deep as the original, and in some areas it's even better than the original. I think the first Blade Runner and this new one are pretty equal. I'm having a very hard time figuring out which one I think is better. At this time I can't decide. I think they're very equal. And if I had to give Blade Runner 2049 a rating, on the 1 to 10 scale, I'd give it an 8. And on the 5-star scale, I'd give it 4.5. The mystery storyline to this film is pretty well written. There's more than one big twist, and the second twist kind of hurts the first twist a little, and is a little much, but I think it made it work in the end. And there are two other quick things that I was a little disappointed weren't delved into more, but it doesn't hurt the film at all. It makes it almost seem like there's going to be another sequel, and I feel like one sequel to Blade Runner is more than enough, and with the mixed box office result that's going on right now, I'm not sure that there will be. But other than that, this film is very extremely good, and I doubt that anybody who loved the original will come out of this not feeling extremely satisfied. I think that's everything I can say before I go into spoilers, so From this point on, I'm going to talk about spoiler stuff and maybe a few non-spoiler things, but if you don't want stuff spoiled, then stop right here and go watch the movie. The first supposed twist, which feels more like it was just trying to throw us off for the second twist, is the idea that maybe Kay is the son of Deckard and Rachel, and shows that replicants can have kids. Something that the people in charge, the humans, think could throw things into chaos if anybody knew, and then it's revealed that Kay isn't, and that Deckard and Rachel's true child was female, played by Carla Jury. And she plays someone who has a terrible immune system and has to be kept locked away all of her life. And she has technology that can create any setting that she wants around her, kind of like a holodeck from Star Trek Next Generation. And for someone who, and this is I guess meant to be ironic, for someone who has to remain locked inside all the time, she's the person who's hired to create memories, fake memories for replicants, because all replicants are born as adults and they're kind of given memories of full lives. I don't know, I guess just to make them feel a little more human. And the only two things that kind of bugged me were the main villain, played by Jared Leto. He talks about finding the way to procreate the replicants, and it's unclear exactly what his plan is, but what his plan is and his intentions are never really delved into or followed up on. And it's also revealed that there's like a revolution army of replicants who want to fight back and be truly free, because most of them are used for labor as slaves, and that part's never really followed up on either. So like I said, it's almost like they're trying to set up another sequel, in which case I better clear my schedule for the next 40 years and the chance that happens. But other than those, everything was pretty perfect, and the villains in this film are pretty good. I thought Jared Leto did a great job playing a weird, creepy character who might be part android, I think, or maybe he's a full android. Once again, there's a good amount of mystery here. Sylvia Hoeks as Love, the female replicant, I believe, whose job is to do most of Leto's dirty work. And sorry, I'm just trying to remember, I just saw the movie. To sum up this character simply, she is a fucking badass antagonist. She's very threatening, very commanding, but also we see traces of her humanity, and the film did a great job of continuing the original's theme of artificial people becoming very human, and in a world where most see them just as machines or less. Very emotional, and there is a lot of scenes of the replicant characters or the artificial characters. Like, there's also holograms in this movie, and there's a lot of scenes of them having their human moments where they cry, and there's a lot of tears shed in this movie, but it never gets like full Tobey Maguire-esque. It works very well, and you feel for each one. The final fight between Love and Kay was one of the most intense movie fights I've watched in a while, because Deckard is chained up as a prisoner of Leto's character in Love, and Kay is not only fighting her to stop her, but he's also fighting to save Deckard. And I just kept watching the scene thinking, please don't let another beloved Harrison Ford character die. It was already bad enough seeing Han Solo bite the dust. Please, not another. But he stopped her, and even though she's the antagonist, seeing her die after seeing all of her moments of, I guess, humanity peaking at times, it was a little sad and reminds me a lot of Roy Batty. And all the villains here are very good. I think they're all pretty excellent. But, just to be honest, none of them hold a light to Rutger Hauer. And just a little more on Harrison Ford's performance. He did a great job. This really felt like Deckard years later, and I could see little traces of him, but I also could see he was older, and his life has gone a very depressing path. But he still has some fight in him, and he's not fully given up yet. The only character in this film who I think was kind of pointless and didn't really serve much of a purpose, could have been cut out pretty much, was Mariette, played by Mackenzie Davis. And Mariette is a hologram that Kay uses as a companion for companionship and romance, and well, it's meant to show just how lonely he is and how he would, I guess, want to connect with somebody. His hologram girl she just didn't add much. Just seemed like she was there to add a little bit of romance, and I don't know, I could have done without her. And Robin Wright as Kay's boss, who he constantly calls Madam. She's, I believe, in charge of the Blade Runners or the LAPD. And she was pretty good. She's not a bad guy, but she's not fully a good guy either. It's a little unclear about her, but you get the feeling she's not completely heartless, and she seems to have a fondness for Kay. And my one, I guess, little nitpick would be the hair they did with her, with it being all slicked back while she's wearing these futuristic leather clothes, or leather looking clothes. It just reminded me a little too much of The Matrix, and I'm not as hot on The Matrix as a lot of people. I mean, the first one's okay, but the sequels were just complete shit, and having that slick back, almost emo look doesn't do anybody any favors. The last thing I'll say is, next to Harrison Ford, it was pretty cool to see appearances by Edward James Olmos as Gaff, I believe was his name, and I was very surprised to see a brief appearance by Sean Young as Rachel, or a version of Rachel. It's nice that they got more than just Harrison Ford to come back. I mean, he would have just been fine, but it's also cool to have more than one character returning. And the film's ending was pretty beautiful, pretty ambiguous, just like the ending of the director and the final cuts. Makes you wonder what's going to happen next, and hopefully we won't have to wait 3 to 4 decades for it. So that's all I really have to say. I give this film very positive thumbs up, and if you don't have a problem with long movies, then go see this. I don't know how to end this, so just say, hope this vlog review was good for you, and if you are interested, check out my other videos on this channel. See you next time.